So the new Superman on Supergirl. What do I think about him now that all that the pictures came out? So hi guys and welcome to Gadget Reviews. I recently saw all those pictures of Superman. They just came out. Like for the last 3 days there were like a ton of new pictures from the set of Supergirl, and we saw the new costume and everything. So what do I think about it? First of all, the costume is terrible in my own opinion. Like, I prefer the Man of Steel costume or Batman v Superman because they are a bit different, like 1,000 times. And first of all, this costume here looks super cheap, like so cheap. And as I said in my Superman I think reaction video that I made, the studio that makes those costumes made a costume that was very high quality for Conan O'Brien for his show, but they cannot make something, for this show. And my issues with it are like a ton. So first, I'm not sure I like the color of it. It looks too bright. Supergirl's costume is a bit too dark and this is like too bright or something. I'm not sure about that. We'll see how it looks on camera. They're going to put different filters anyways, on the show, so we'll see. But that's not even, my biggest gripe with the costume. The texture is terrible. It looks like, a material fabric that my grandma knitted, So it looks totally terrible. It does not look anything Kryptonian, alien, whatever. It's not like Man of Steel costume where every texture is like a Kryptonian symbol. And they even put new Kryptonian symbols in the logo and on the belt and so on in Batman v Superman. Not only that, after that is the padding. So each costume has a padding. Supergirl's costume also has a padding. So that's important, because he has to look like super experienced steroid bodybuilder in order to fill the costume, and they do have to make it so it fits his muscles. So the padding is important, but here the padding is terrible. Terrible. Just look at those pictures. It's not in place. It's not anatomically following his muscles. It's just ridiculous. Also, the lines on the costume don't make any sense. Instead of, showcasing his physique, that is very weak, by the way, for Superman, they just make some lines that make him look like even slimmer. And on the other hand, they put too much padding on his legs, so he looks like bloated in his legs. That's so ridiculous. And don't get me started on his ass, on his bottom, on his butt, because this looks like a total disaster. I don't know if you remember this, but since I watched, Dean Cain's Superman, I saw his butt, and it was huge as well for some reason. But this here beats everything, and I have no idea who or why came up with this. Are those people on the set blind? That is ridiculous. As for his cape and how it connects to here, also looks terrible for me. Those two things that are like, coming down from here look like they're going to, fall like my bra stripes. So it's ridiculous, and I really don't like the yellow, on those you can call them maybe stripes, because it just looks even more cheap. And I do love, the yellow and the S, and I wish that Supergirl had that. I'm not a fan of the old design of the S. I think we should get, modern design, because it looks too retro. And after all, this show is not filmed in the 1980s or the 1990s, so they should update that, because the design is just from that era, it's not from this era. So it's just a bit, not like Man of Steel, maybe not like this one, although I really, really love this one. They could make it maybe a bit different, but still modern, still cool. and still more alien, because this looks like, you know, it's old. It's old. The other thing is the Superman logo texture and overall, you know, thickness. It looks too thin. Like when he moves like that, it starts to go in and out, and it's just too soft. It has to be, you know, more tough. The design is very bad for me. The boots are terrible. They look exactly like one of the boots that I once equipped in the game DC Universe Online, and they're just not good for Superman. They're good maybe for somebody else, like whoever it is, but not Superman. Those boots make him look even fatter in the legs. Terrible. And they gave him like this though of a platform on the boot, and I'm like, you're not tall enough, Superman. Then I saw the picture of him with Stephen Amell, and I'm like, Stephen Amell is bigger and more muscular than Superman? Arrow is bigger and more muscular than Superman? What the hell? And Stephen Amell is not a big guy. So I have no idea. Have to check, you know, how tall and how big overall is Tyler Hoechlin or Hetchlin. But if he is smaller, the way that it looks on that picture, I'm just going to be very, very disappointed. Yeah, and as I said, you know, Arrow himself needs to work out more because he doesn't have very good, you know, genetics for his chest and abs and back, and yeah, he has very good genetics for his face, but not for his body particularly. So he needs to work out even more so his muscles could be more defined, because he looks like he has that syndrome that may occur if using steroids, when you know, you are losing muscle tissue and it becomes like a hole in the middle between the two chests. So yeah, you can see that in some wrestlers like Chris Jericho, Kofi Kingston. So I don't know what's the deal there, but I mean, he really doesn't have very good genetics, you know, for muscles. The new Superman doesn't either. He has, you know, better ones, but he does not, you know, a lot. So basically, his face actually is the only thing that I like this time, because the way that they made his hair and shaped him really, really, you know, close, it almost looks like he had like a laser removal, you know, of the beard, because his face looks very good. He doesn't have 5 o'clock shadow or anything like that. He looks very, very good. He does look like Superman in the face now and in the neck, but nowhere else he does look like Superman. I did like, you know, some of the pictures where he's running and he's doing this, you know, but you can see how the costume is so loose and is not in place. I mean, the ass looks like he has some kind of a carton underneath that. It doesn't look good at all. So I have no idea what they have to do, but this Superman costume is not good. Maybe it's due to the universes, the Flashpoint paradox, that is going to affect, I think, all the TV shows that are connected to that. You know, Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow. So maybe that is why we have this costume. I don't know, but again, I don't like it. I want to see it in action to, you know, say my final judgments, but in the end of the day, Tyler Hoechlin, or Hoechlin, I'm sorry, is still too thin. Too thin for this role for Superman. The costume has still a very bad texture, the same way that Supergirl's costume, very bad texture. Both costumes had padding that don't match actually the muscles very well, especially in certain movements. Just looks terrible. You can see that even on some Supergirl pictures, or even when you're watching the show, you can, you know, see how, you know, the bicep and the shoulder doesn't match very well sometimes. And she also, although I really adore Melissa Benoist, and I think that she's the most beautiful Supergirl I ever seen, and just one of the most beautiful, you know, girls that I ever seen in my life. She's amazing. I do think, however, that she have to work out a bit more for this role, because her arms are not really that well defined, and I wish that they were, because we have to see, the natural Kryptonian muscles that Superman and Supergirl both have. So we have to see those gains, guys. And I know that you can't see on camera because the light is too bright to see that I actually have some gains, but I do. And I work out, to look good. And imagine what I do if I, if I was an actress and I worked out for a role. I'm going to give my best, to this, so I can look the way that I want, and so I can, see all the gains that I've made, and I'm going to sustain that. I'm not going to do for the role, because it's very important to have muscles for like tons of reasons. So guys, this is my opinion on the new Superman look, mostly, not the new Superman per se, because I haven't still seen him in action. I do like, as I said, his head. I do not like that he doesn't have blue eyes, the same problem that I had, with Melissa Benoist. Her eyes are kind of green, not really blue. And that is always like an emblem for the two characters. They have to have blue eyes, Wonder Woman as well, but So guys, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think about the new costume, the new Superman, about the topic, and till next time with Gary G Reviews.